Good morning. Let us now settle into a spirit of worship with a moment of quiet, followed by some music. Today's service has been adapted to Zoom, so many things listed specifically in the order of service may be a little different today. Thank you for coming.
Our chalice lighting is by Eric Hepburn. Love remains the center. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church online today. Thanks to snow and ice and the coziness of our own homes. My name's Maura Rouse, and I'm one of your worship associates today. We begin by acknowledging that in Worcester County, Massachusetts, we work, learn, live, and worship on the seized ancestral homeland of the Nipmuc people, who remain active and survive as the Nipmuc tribe. We offer a special welcome to any newcomers today, and we are delighted that you're here. At the end of today's service, we'll end with a brief announcement or a few, and there will be some online Zooming chat room opportunity. We'll see how that goes and who's interested in staying for it. There is going to be a time this morning to share joys and sorrows. Because of our Zoom format, we're going to ask people to type in the chat whatever you want to share. We're not going to have a verbal moment for you to tell everybody, so you can put brief notes in the chat when we arrive at the time of sharing of joys and sorrows. Finally, if you look at the online order of service that's been provided, there are some congregation announcements on the back of that program. Please take a moment to look at those. And we are so glad you're here with us this morning for today's service. Thank you.
Thanks, Maura. Good morning, everyone. My name is Evan Wilson. I'll be helping lead today's service. Today is a lay-led service. For those who are not familiar, our minister is currently on sabbatical. So our services are currently being led by members of our congregation and other friends of UUCW. Our opening words today are by Alex Klinenberg, and these are sourced from the UU World magazine, which hopefully everyone gets a copy of delivered to them. The opening words are titled, Create Something New. A pattern, a recipe, a story, a poem. Plant a seed, be metaphorical. Now is not the time to be boring. Get inventive, get bold, get weird and outlandish, get uncomfortably vulnerable. Construct a new status quo. Figure out your deepest, wildest, most expansive dreams for the world and write them down, build them up. Begin, conceive, create, birth, open. If ever there is a time for you to become who you always dreamed you could be, it is now. When the rules are soft and edges are blurred and the world is blinking into an uncertain future. Be the future that comes into sharp focus. Tell the truth, the absolute truth. Spare none of the details. The only way through this is mutually assured creation. Up next for our first hymn, which we enjoy, or which we invite you to enjoy the music of, is titled Everyone Deserves to Be Free by Deva Mahal with the Resistance Revival Chorus.
isn't right. Far too many falling. They say it's in the name of the greater good. Oh, we lost sight. World is getting colder. What happened to the words for which we once stood? I will stand for you. Would you stand for me? Everybody deserves to be free. I would lend a hand to you. Would you lend a hand to me? Everybody deserves to be free. It's close to 9, but I'll leave a candle burning till light your way home. Won't give up the fight. Story isn't over, no. I won't let you walk all alone. I will stand for you. Would you stand for me? Everybody deserves to be free. I would lend a hand to you. Would you lend a hand to me? Everybody deserves to be free. Say, if you feel like I do, stand with me. If you hurt like I do, stand with me. Feel like I do, stand with me. If you hurt like I do, stand with me. Yeah. Think it's a shame, gives you the blues. Oh, I'm telling you, I will stand for you. Would you stand for me? Everybody deserves to be free. And I would lend a hand to you. Would you lend a hand to me? Everybody deserves to be free. I will stand for you. Would you stand for me? Everybody deserves to be free. Hands to you. Would you lend a hand to me? Said everybody deserves to be free. And everybody deserves to be free. And everybody deserves to be free. Yeah. Oh, yes.
So we come to that time in our service when we are given pause to consider what is most deeply on our minds, in our hearts, or in the work of our hands in the days that have transpired. We look forward to the coming days. Joys and sorrows which are given a different measure of meaning because this space we have to share them in the midst of a company that claims us as a co-journeyer. As Maura said, since we're gathering today over Zoom, I invite you to share any joys or sorrows in the chat so that your UUCW community can share in them with you. Again, following the service, we'll have an opportunity to connect with one another for a virtual coffee hour. So please join us following the service on Zoom to further share your joy and sorrow. Otherwise, I invite you to share your joy and sorrow in the chat. And I invite people to use this as a time for quiet contemplation. For all that was shared in the chat or that was left unsaid, thank you for sharing. You are welcome to continue to add any joys and sorrows in the chat. We call upon the spirit of love and life to embrace us all. Amen and blessed be. At this time in our service, we collect an offering to support the work of our congregation. If you would like to give online, you can use the text to give number that I'm putting in the chat right now and amongst our joys and sorrows. You are also able to give online. And so during the offertory, we'll be playing a piece of music from Patrick Chatham, a cellist. And this was offered by the First Unitarian Church here in Worcester back in 2021. So please enjoy this offertory music as we collect an offertory for today. Now I'd like to introduce Emily Constant, a member of the Side with Love Task Force, who will share a guided meditation for our next reading.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that we could still come together today on this icy morning. Everyone can hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. As we explore our theme today, stories of love and justice, some of us will be sharing our personal journeys of our commitments to justice and to our communities. And we would like to invite you to join us in contemplating this theme for yourselves. Why have you chosen to become involved with a congregation of love, hope, and justice? What journey has brought you here? If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes or just soften your gaze. And take some deep, comfortable breaths. And take a moment to think about your own journey towards that commitment to love and justice. What is your motivation, your inspiration? You may have one particular reason, or there may be many reasons. Or maybe you don't have a specific example, but you just know that this is the right path for you. There is no wrong answer. Whatever you feel is absolutely right for you. And as you consider this question, how do you experience the answer? What stands out to you? Maybe you have been conjuring up an image, a picture, or a word or sound. Or perhaps it arises as a sensation in your body. And what if, by intensifying what you are experiencing right now, you could make it easier to manifest your commitment in the outside world? Planting the seed that can help make your journey easier and more meaningful. Let's do that now. If you were imagining a picture, You can make it brighter, clearer, the colors more vibrant. If it's a sound, you can increase the volume, the resonance, or add a harmony. If it's a sensation in your body, you can make it stronger. Allow it to grow and fill in as much space within you as you would like. Breathe deeply and allow those wonderful feelings to grow, to inspire, nourish, and sustain you. And maybe you can take that growth with you today and allow it to help you connect to others who share your same goals, other members of the congregation and your community, feeling their commitment intertwine with your own. So now take one more deep breath and open your eyes, feeling the many possibilities, the many coming opportunities you have to continue to grow and share and connect as you continue your journey of love and justice.
Thank you, Emily. At this point in our service, we'd like to offer our reflection. So our service is entitled Harnessing Our Stories for Love and Justice. Embedded within the title are two parts, the core values of love and justice, and also using our stories for inspiration. This felt like an apt offering from the Side with Love group to the congregation today, since this is just what we seek to do as a group. Twice a month, the Side with Love Taskforce meets to check in with one another, discuss updates from ongoing organizing and involvements, and plan for work yet to come. By sharing our stories and experiences, we not only build community, but we also gain support to continue to work for love and justice. Today, we'd like to offer you a few stories from 3 members of UUCW Side with Love Task Force about how they lean into love and what's inspired them to act in the name of justice. First up, we'll have Mara Pentlarch.
Thank you. I want to invite you to join me with Worcester Congregations for Climate and Environmental Justice. We're a group in Worcester of several congregations. We have Unitarians and Congregationals and Jews, and we got a Quaker guy joined us recently. And we meet once a month on a Sunday afternoon to see what we can get going in Worcester and Massachusetts for climate change and environmental justice. Now, I know some people feel like climate change is just too big of a topic. I understand that there are topics that I don't want to engage with. They feel like too much. So don't worry if that's the case. I'm guessing that most everybody is doing what they can personally, recycling and thinking about your carbon footprint. And as a congregation, we, have the best insulation we can in our building, and we try to think about which rooms have to be heated when we have a dishwasher. We can use the dishes that don't get thrown away. At times, we have events where all the serving things are paper. We throw away a lot of paper. We don't like doing that, so we try using the dishwasher. But there's a limit how much a person or an institution can do individually. So joining together with others is a way to make real change in the world. At Worcester congregations, like Evan was saying about Side with Love, we check in with each other. There might be 6 to 8 of us there on Zoom, a Sunday afternoon at 4, the second Sunday of the month, or some of us meet in person at Temple Emmanuel Sinai off Salisbury Street, where they have a nice hybrid technology for the meeting. Joining together, more is possible. In Worcester congregations, along with other groups, we got a better building code passed for the city of Worcester. If you want to build a house or a building in Worcester, it has to meet pretty rigorous standards now. Tight windows and doors, lots of insulation in the walls, and everything wired for electricity. Electric heat, cooking, clothes drying, everything has to be wired for electricity because that's the way of the future. With Worcester congregations, we also are working at the state level with the state legislature. If you want to learn more about how the state legislature works, just come to the meetings. You'll learn more. You don't have to study. You don't have to read articles. You don't have to watch videos. Just come to the meetings. You'll soak it up, by being there. State legislature is problematic. But we're working on getting a bill passed called Make Polluters Pay. I love this bill. Remember back when the tobacco companies had to kick in money to Medicaid back in 1998? And every year into the future, we're thinking about getting the top oil companies, Exxon, Shell, Chevron, the other big polluters, the oil companies, to kick in money to the state of Massachusetts to pay for climate change problems like rising sea level and storm damage. New York has already passed this law. Vermont has already passed it. Massachusetts could be next. Come join Worcester congregations and let's see what we can do.
Thanks so much, Mara. Up next, I will invite Susan Crossley.
Hi. I have like a more personal kind of story or memories to share with you on my own personal evolution journey of recognizing all the inequities in this society. About 8 to 10 years ago, we welcomed into our congregation a ministerial intern by the name of Bo Bridges. And I felt like she had just brought all this enlightenment into our congregation, and yet probably it was mostly for me. It was a revelatory time. She organized a book group reading The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Oh my gosh, this was like the most depressing book that I have ever read in my life. It seemed demonic of all the things that were in practice. So it brought to light frequent use of illegal search, illegal detention, confiscation, all these practices that our society condones in the policing of Black or African American population. From there, we went to a PBS special, and she began the whole night's entertainment by saying, okay, everyone write down how many races that there are in the world. And so I fell for this hook, line, and sinker. I was just so positive there had to be at least 4, 5 different races, right? Well, then she showed the PBS thing, and it completely debunked this whole idea of races. Races, as it comes to be, is a social construct developed to keep the Black population, people of color, sort of in a subordinate or second class status. Then I joined another book group and I started reading Being White, Waking Up White, White Fragility. And it just got more and more depressing, right? So at one point, it was like, we're all racist. And I have to tell you, I pushed back hard on this one. I got to tell you, I don't have a shaved head with Nazi tattoos. I don't carry a tiki torch. How can I be called a racist? Well, it took the better part of like a year, 18 months. And then I said, Susan, you're a racist. We're all racist. You got to deal with it one way or the other. I learned what an incredible privilege I had been born with, unbeknownst to me, of white skin. We learned how the Black veterans came home, fought side by side with their white peers or whatever, and they were denied the GI Bill. They were denied decent housing. They were shunted off into red-lined districts, preventing them any chance of wealth accumulation, even though they had risked their lives fighting side by side with their white counterparts and coming home to a country and society that was not willing to give them any of the benefits. I would just sit. At the time, my dear friend Lynn Ritchie and I would be doing all these different seminars, and then we would just look at each other and go, can you believe this? I can't believe this. Do you think this is really right? Oh boy, it was. It was. My whole axis of the earth kind of shifted. And then I became aware of this thing called, let's see, microaggressions, a thing better known as exclusionary behaviors, which pretty much we all do without knowing it because it taps into just this inherent bias that we have and we can't really change. It's so unconscious and part of us. So as time went on, I just started getting angry. America was nothing like what we had been taught or sort of brainwashed into. It was like we're taught from a very early age that it's okay to feel superior to people of lesser means. I always think about James Baldwin when someone said, listen, what are you going to do about this problem? And he looked at him and he said, this isn't a Black problem. This is a white problem. How is it that so many people in our society, whites, feel it's perfectly okay to treat other human beings in such a cruel and sadistic manner? I'd like to think that it was so much better now, and in ways it is. Yet we as a nation have so much to work on. And it seems to me the first step is ownership of this wrong, this system that is embedded with a very wrong premise of white supremacy. When did it become so wrong to be awoken to our failures? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. I will close off with our final story. So while it may feel easy to tell a story to a friend or a loved one about our day, what we had for lunch, a fun weekend activity, it takes some more practice to articulate a story that might carry some more significance, a turning point in our lives, a transformational experience. But translating our experiences into coherent stories not only helps ourselves gain a deeper understanding, but also offers a gift to others. Hearing stories from others helps us gain perspective and potentially motivation to try something new. The story I'd like to share starts in the sanctuary. So if we were all in the sanctuary, picture your seat that you always sit in. I was in my regular pew. And so sitting in the pew, the story that I want to share is from the past 4 years, how I've pushed myself to live out my UU values through local engagement and activism. So we go back to 2020. We're in the midst of the COVID pandemic and the awakening following George Floyd's killing. I'm sitting in church in my regular pew, and I had a realization during service about a disconnect that had emerged between my values and my action. It felt like I was living a life with knowledge and understanding of injustice, but with this proverbial name tag. Hello, my name is Evan. I'm progressive. I'm an ally. What didn't feel quite right was this idea of claiming an identity, but not necessarily living it out, not fully expressing my faith. It was sitting in that pew that I told myself that I needed to do better to embody my values. I needed to take the small, incremental steps to build a life where I knew my actions and values were in alignment. Two authors have offered inspiration along the way. James Clear in his book Atomic Habits, and Adrienne Marie Brown in her book Emergent Strategy. In Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about the micro steps we take to build habits and achieve our goals. If our long-term goal is to run a marathon, your short-term goal could really just be starting with lacing up your running shoes on a regular basis. It's these small steps that we take that will turn into habits to help us sustain a lifestyle in line with our aspirations. Adrienne Marie Brown talks about emergent strategy, not knowing where you're going, but rather listening to your internal wisdom and drawing on the collective wisdom of others to work towards justice. Both of these authors have encouraged me on my journey of being involved in my local community, committing to a habit of leaning in, showing up, and of practicing love in public with others. So I started attending more events with UU Mass Action. UU Mass Action is our statewide action network, organizing UU congregations for statewide work. They have an annual advocacy day coming up in April, where they invite you to meet with your local legislators to discuss priority bills to support our UU values. I attended trainings and networks events. Here locally in Worcester, I joined Surge Worcester, showing up for racial justice, and engaged in an affinity group with other white people to understand our internalized biases, and also to take action to support racial justice led by BIPOC people and organizations. In the spring of 2023, I started attending community leader gatherings with Worcester Interfaith. Worcester Interfaith is a longstanding organization here in Worcester. I've mentioned them before. They've been instrumental in helping support educational justice initiatives here in the city. So month after month of participating with Worcester Interfaith led to closer connections, learnings and workshops, listening sessions, identified priorities from the local community, to what has emerged today, 2 organizing teams addressing civic engagement and affordable housing. So if you've been paying attention to local news at all, there's been a lot going on, especially at City Hall. In the past several months, there's been significant community turnout at City Council, residents sharing their own stories and experiences in a desperate effort to be heard by elected officials. Some critical items over the last few months, a multi-faith coalition called on the City Council to pass a resolution in support of a ceasefire in Gaza. A Department of Justice report indicated excessive use of force by the Worcester Police Department against city residents and poor treatment of women involved in the commercial sex trade. And of recent, efforts to call Worcester a sanctuary city to support the trans and gender diverse community, as well as stymied efforts to address transphobia and anti-immigrant bias within the council. So for the past 4 Tuesdays, I've been at City Hall, outside the chamber, inside the City Council meeting, showing my support for the resolutions to support the trans community. Twice, I added my voice to hundreds of Worcester residents who shared their testimony. Organizers held rallies, workshops, and even a short drag performance outside the council chamber before the City Council meetings. These gatherings were a true sign of community, and a community committed to love and justice. This past week, I attended a fundraiser for a dear friend, Atel Hajiai, a District 5 city councilor here in the city. Not only was I introduced to a new restaurant, Desi Bar and Grill on Chandler Street. Check it out if you like some Indian food. But I also saw all the community leaders that had helped organize the demonstrations at City Council this past month. In a matter of a few minutes and some introductions, we brainstormed some next steps to help people stay involved leading up to the November municipal election, with the aim of supporting candidates to advance progressive ideals and action for our city. This impromptu brainstorm was the product of my engagement and relationships that had developed over time. While our current national political reality has brought significant concern to many, in a way, threats to the marginalized have long been among us. Capitalism, manifest destiny, racism, patriarchy. The imbalanced systems of power have and continue to be out of balance. What's felt powerful and hopeful to me, though, is that I feel more connected than ever. My micro steps of leaning into action has brought me to where I am today. These small steps, thinking about the journey and not the destination, has brought me to a place where I feel less dissonant. I feel proud of my work in the community, and I'm eager to connect with my neighbors to see how we can collectively turn our engagement dial up one notch. If we're at a 4, let's not aim for a 10. Let's aim for a 4.5. Do we think we can do that? Sure, I hope so. So folks, that brings us to the end of our storytelling. Thank you for sharing space with us as we told our stories. I hope that while hearing our stories and engaging in your own meditation and visualization, that something was stirred inside, a whisper of how you might manifest love and justice. We hope you'll continue to listen to that whisper and share it loudly with others. Amen and blessed be. So our closing hymn is Love Will Guide Us. This is one from our UU hymnal, so please hum along at home or sing along as you'd like.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
So for our closing, I would like to reference a new communication and outreach platform. Emily Stolarski and the 8th Principal Taskforce have helped create a link tree. So I just put the link tree in the chat. It is basically a home of links. So thank you to our tech team who are bringing it up. I've dropped a link in the chat, but if you also have a device, you can scan the QR code. And so basically, the link tree is a whole collection of a bunch of different resources. So between Susan talking about her eye-opening experiences, delving into like race consciousness, Mara talking about her environmental justice action, to myself talking about Surge showing up for racial justice, talking about UU Mass Action. All these links are listed here. So we invite you to, at your leisure, take a look. There's some great events coming up. Right now, it's February, it's Black History Month. So there's a calendar linked to Worcester's Black History Month events. Our eighth principal service last month, we collected some notes and we have that posted up there as well. So please do take a minute to see what's happening. One of the things that I'd like to also highlight, it's highlighted under our new, is the Side with Love 30 Days of Love. So what's really cool is that, we here in the Side with Love Task Force, we exist here at the local level, our congregation. But like I said, we're also supported at the statewide level by UU Mass Action and at the national congregational level by the National Side with Love team, which is the organizing strategy group of the UUA. So the closing words, as well as the earlier music that I shared by the Resistance Revival Chorus, Everyone Deserves to Be Free, is all from a campaign called the 30 Days of Love. So my closing words that we have are entitled Trans Lives Are Divine. And this comes from a book called Black Trans Prayer Book by J. Mace III and Lady Dane Figueroa Aditi. And so these words can be found in the 30 Days of Action, the 30 Days of Love from the UUA, which is linked in the link tree. Trans people are divine. This profound truth is not just a statement, but a powerful declaration of sacredness and resilience. It reminds us that trans and non-binary existence is ancient, predating the oppressive systems of colonization, white supremacy, imperialism, and patriarchy that seek to erase or control it. Last week, one of the first actions of the current administration was to enact executive orders that limit the way trans and non-binary people can legally identify in our country. It was the latest effort in an ongoing campaign to legislate these divine beings out of existence. It will not work. Trans and non-binary people have always been here. Acknowledging this calls us to honor them as vital and irreplaceable members of the human family and essential threads in the divine tapestry of creation. We affirm this not just as a response to oppression, but as a truth that has always existed. Their presence is a testament to the enduring power of transformation and creation, defying the forces that seek to constrain them and teaching us all how to manifest a more liberated future. So those are our closing words for today. I hope that our storytelling has stirred up some of your own stories. And as we close our service, we invite you all to come join us in our virtual coffee hour, where recording will end and conversations can continue. We look forward to being with you in today as well as in the future. Thank you, everyone.
As the recording is turned off, we will invite announcements for our congregation from members and active groups. David?